Months in this investigation, accumulating evidence. We have a simple question I think an overwhelming majority of Americans have. What did the Bidens do to receive the tens of millions of dollars from our enemies around the world?
When a majority of the House goes on record in support of an official impeachment inquiry with the power that resides solely in the House of Representatives, this impeachment power, I think that sends a message.
That was Congressman James Comer and Jim Jordan on Capitol Hill this week, speaking to the press after the entire House Republican Conference voted to authorize an impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden. A busy year coming to an end for the slim Republican majority. So what did they accomplish? And in addition to the impeachment inquiry, what are the priorities for 2024? Let's bring in Utah Congressman and the Vice Chairman of the House Republican Conference, Congressman Blake Moore. Congressman, thank you so much. We appreciate you being here for us. Before we get to that year in review, your comments on the historic vote Wednesday to advance the impeachment inquiry into the president.
Right. I mean, it was clear, it was unanimous among the Republicans that this is something that we need to do. I would call it, I wouldn't even call it historic. I would just call it, this is simple. 3 years ago, folks, the American public thought that it was a conspiracy theory, that there was major issues with Hunter Biden and his business dealings with foreign governments and entities. And now that we've had a majority for just 1 year, less than 1 year, we've been able to share with the American people the truth about the nefarious business dealings that went on, the shell companies that were set up, the money laundering that was going to multiple different members of the Biden family. Like, this is just a way to show that we want to run a thoughtful and thorough investigation. That's all we're doing. That's what the impeachment inquiry vote does, is it enables us to tell the White House, you can't withhold information anymore. We have the official vote to make that happen. You have to provide and share with us the things that you're withholding at the moment. So it's important. It's important for accountability. But like we're going to talk about, we can walk and chew gum at the same time, because we're trying to really restore some fiscal sanity to this place and provide some pushback on an administration that has gone too far in so many different ways.
Congressman, communicating what you do as lawmakers to your constituents, to the wider voting public, is always a big challenge, especially with corporate media and the editorial filter, oftentimes working against Republicans and working against conservatives. Right now, congressional approval is near an all-time low, and the two most recent generic ballot polls don't necessarily look great for the Republican majority at this moment in time, heading into 2024. So talk to us, looking back at this year, talk about what the Republican conference believes that it accomplished for the American people.
Yeah, horrible polling, how Congress does, was part of the reason I wanted to get into this fray as well. So I agree with you there. But you also have to look, each individual district, members of Congress do much better with respect to, their approval ratings and how folks are recognized that. And that's the part that's important. In fact, as I'm in the vice chair role now, I want my job to be sort of a behind the scenes and empower each member from all of the districts that Republicans represent to be able to communicate what is out there.
Sure. What would you say your greatest accomplishments are for 2023 as a conference?
This is the first time in recent memory, maybe over a decade, that we are able to take a portion of our budget and spend less than we were going to spend than the following year. Not even just kind of cap it or trim it and don't let it grow too fast. We're going to reduce spending year over year, and over the course of 6 or so years, that will trim out over $2 trillion worth of spending that we found to be wasteful, unnecessary, and that's still supporting our defense, our veterans, and things of that nature. So that right there is what everybody's major focus is on. And then each individual committee has a bunch of other wins that they're pushing for. But our HR 1 was energy policy. Our HR 2 was border and immigration policy. Those bills we were able to get done, but not only just get done in the House. We knew it wasn't necessarily going to go and fly through the Senate, but we're using individual, how would you say, leverage points, a debt ceiling, the potential Ukraine supplemental, to get priorities through that we want, that we passed out of the House, and we want to see those things to make it into law. And that's always the difficult part when you're in a split government. When we have the House, Democrats have the Senate, and then the White House is what it is. It's tough to get a lot accomplished, but we've been able to stop all of the Biden spending. So one, he spent $5 trillion in his first year with a Democrat-controlled House and Senate. And by us being in the majority, we eliminate that. That's what led to so much inflation. So the fiscal side has been our major priority. So stopping Biden's really aggressive spending. You'll remember the ARPA plan was $2 trillion. The Inflation Reduction Act was $500 billion, but it actually is getting scored at over $1 trillion now. Then you had plus-ups to otherwise reasonable bills like infrastructure. They put a lot more onto that because they were going back and forth. So it's stopping all that spending, which leads to tons of inflation. We curb that, and then we also get in control of our budgets. And so those are the things that I would say are the most important for us to be in.
Congressman, as you point out, we have a bicameral legislature. It requires the Senate to act in order for this agenda to advance. Here's Speaker Johnson expressing his frustration, shall we say, with the Democrat majority across on the other side of the building.
They've done nothing. And so here we are on the eve, virtually, of Christmas and the end of the year. And the White House, as we talked this morning, has not moved in our direction on that issue. We have done our job. The House passed the Israel aid package 6 weeks ago. Send it over there. It's collecting dust. What's Chuck Schumer done with that? Nothing. Nothing. It's sitting on his desk. We're ready. We're working. The House passed H.R. 2, which is our signature piece of legislation, over 6 months ago. It sat on Chuck Schumer's desk collecting dust. They seem not to care about this issue. And as we sit here this morning, they've sent us nothing to even negotiate, and that is inexcusable. I'm not going to have everybody sit here through Christmas twiddling their thumbs.
All right, Congressman, with my remaining moments with you, I want to look ahead to 2024, and I want you to give me, if you could, 3 priorities for the Republicans in the House to convince voters that you should retain or expand your majority.
Absolutely. We're going to keep harping and focusing on fiscal sanity. Where we're at with our debt, the debt servicing, and the costs associated with that is going to be, in the next decade, something that we can't overcome. So fiscal sanity will be our primary focus, and ensuring that we keep inflation and lower inflation for American families will be a direct result of that, but it will be something that we're heavily focused on, to all the levers that we can pull to do that, and providing accountability to our government. We're running a very clean, very upfront, open investigation into anything of government overreach and any type of impropriety. We're going to keep doing that and be honest with the American people.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. The Vice Chairman of the House Republican Conference, Utah Congressman Blake Moore, thank you so much, and a very Merry Christmas to you.
Likewise, thank you.